Let's see. We gave you a surprise in Heroic Infinitor. We gave you a surprise in a new Heroic Victory theme. We gave you a surprise in that Season 2 is coming soon! But that's not it, folks. Believe it or not, we have more surprises for you tonight. I know, we spoil you, but that's what we're here to do. So I'm going to make a new game here. Create game, Fanatic number 28 for my fellow Handelabrats.
Oh, I should probably start the game.
And tonight, obviously, it's Wrath of the Cosmos night, so we got to show you more fun stuff. So we're going to show you Kaargra Warfang tonight. And the reason why this is a surprise is because it's kind of surprised us. We thought this was going to be the last one we showed, because mechanically, she is so difficult. And by difficult, I mean she was the most challenging to implement, because there's just so many things that she has to do. We'll talk a lot about how that works with her Bloodsworn Coliseum once we're actually into the game. But then, because you guys have been so patient and waiting, and because you loved it so much, we're going to be playing in the Enclave of the Endlings tonight, which is another. So we're going to be showing off both Kaargra Warfang and the Enclave of the Endlings in this game this evening. All right, so I see Jean-Marc. I'm just waiting on Jennifer and John. John is probably doing what I asked him to do, so that's fine.
Yeah, 1 second.
So Jeff Dugan has asked, Jean-Marc has not left. He's still here. He wants to know if there
I'm just quiet.
Yeah, he wants to know if there will eventually be hero themes. No comment. Let's just leave it at that. Yeah, so Lou Dolphin asks, is Progeny the only thing that hasn't been demoed now? Well, and Heroic Infinitor. So yes, and I know that a lot of people were actually asking during the music part, is there a launch date yet for Wrath of the Cosmos? As you guys all know, if you've been with us, we don't announce a launch date until we are absolutely sure it's going to come out that day. It's one of our things, and as a result, we were hoping to be able to announce it today, but we're still crossing some T's and dotting some lowercase J's. So until we at least submit it to iOS, iTunes, or whatever, we don't make an announcement for the date. But you can rest assured that it is soon, and we should have some more news about that shortly. All right. So.
And we really want it to be out before that timer runs out.
Yeah, I think that is a pretty, well, maybe not a foregone conclusion, but that is a fairly safe bet. Vegas, that would give you they'd give you pretty solid odds on that. You wouldn't win a lot on that bet, that it will be out before the timer is done.
The webpage embed is fixed.
Oh, thank you, John.
Live coding on the server.
Yep. What was that thing? I don't always test, but when I do, I test in production or something?
Yep. Editing an HTML file, not so bad.
Leo's asking if there's any chance of getting team themes when you win using certain members. That idea has been suggested before, and it's something we've been kind of thinking about. Anything that we do has to feel like it will get enough use to be worth composing. So we'll kind of see how the game develops and if that makes sense.
Yeah, and as we've
everything
said,
costs money.
Yeah, everything costs money. But as we've said before, one of the reasons why we were so excited about Sentinels of the Multiverse as something to work on is that it's more than just a card game. It's a living, breathing multiverse of all these characters and themes and whatever, and whatever we can do to enrich that world, we will do, as long as it doesn't break the bank. So yeah, I mean, like I said, as Jean-Marc mentioned, somebody actually already did ask us for that, and it's an idea that we've kicked around the office, and it would just be a question of if we could have the money to do it. It's something that we would definitely consider doing. So, all right, so we just need John.
Need me to pick a hero?
Yeah, and I think, are we going to go with the theme that we were talking about? If you guys remember, the last week we were showing off the Wrath of the Cosmos trailer, the hero in the arena, and so we thought it would be fun to play Kaargra Warfang at Enclave of the Endlings using heroes that appeared in the trailer. So we've got Haka, the Scholar, and Tachyon. A couple of the other options, Chrono Ranger, obviously Skyscraper was in there. I think Expatriette, maybe?
I'm going to go with Expatriette, actually.
Nice. All right. Yeah, we actually played a couple of test games earlier as well in a setup similar to this. So, all right, so here it is, folks. Kaargra Warfang at the Enclave of the Endlings. Versus Haka, the Scholar, Super Scientific Tachyon, and Dark Watch Expatriette. And there he is, the Enclave of the Endlings. And people were asking, no, that is not me. That is who?
That's me.
That's jean-marc. Come and fight.
I did a few
Actually, jean-marc's 1-year-old son.
Are you worthy combatants? Find out for glory. Haha, battle. This'll be fun. That was my New Zealander. It's not very good. All right, so let's talk about the Bloodsworn Coliseum for a moment, shall we? So you'll notice when we first start the game, before we get going, you got Kaargra Warfang's character card with no hit points. Why has she no hit points? Anyone want to answer me?
Because she's not a target.
She's not a target yet. She's sitting up in her chair, looking down on the arena, watching them fight for her amusement. Then we've got this Bloodsworn Coliseum card. This is where the title deck lives. What's the title deck, John?
It's a special deck of cards, and those cards are not villain cards, they're not hero cards, they're not environment cards. They are title cards, and they live in their own area in what you can imagine is a precursor to Oblivion, and having more decks in different places and doing funny things. So these cards actually go on the tabletop. They go in a separate area, and they have their own special behavior. If you pull up the Bloodsworn Coliseum card, Jeremy,
yep.
You can click show. It has rules about how those things work, and if you show the title deck, you can look at them.
Yeah, and actually one of the things that I want you guys to pay special attention to is you'll notice that each title card has its own associated icon, and that's how you're going to be able to track who's got those various titles as the game goes on.
Yeah. So if you look at, say, for example, Champion, it has a condition. So when this card is out and in play, whenever something fulfills that condition, it gains that title, and that title goes underneath it, and the target gets a special ability. So with Champion, if a target destroys 3 targets in one turn, Tempest, for example, is good at that. Often the artwork sort of depicts a hero that is a bit likely to get the title, but it's not. It can go under. Most of them can go under any target, and damage dealt by this target is irreducible if that target has the title. So a lot of them have really, really cool effects, and you get favor for getting a title. And maybe Jean-Marc can talk about that.
Yeah, so let's pop open the crowd's favor. So right now it says Bloodsworn 0, Hero 0. What does that mean? Jean-Marc.
Yeah, so basically what you're trying to do to win in this condition is win the favor of the crowd. And so there are 2 favor pools, the Hero favor pool and the Bloodsworn favor pool. And if the Hero favor pool reaches 20, and Kaargra Warfang is just observing, she is not a participant, then the heroes win the game. But if the Bloodsworn favor pool reaches 20, whether or not Kaargra Warfang is participating, then the heroes will lose the game. And there are multiple criteria for gaining the favor of the crowd. You can see them on the screen, but basically, if a hero target deals 2 or more damage at once to multiple non-hero targets in a single turn, or a hero target deals a non-hero target 4 or more damage at once, or a hero target destroys a non-hero target, or a hero target gains a title card, then they get 1 token, and vice versa for the villains. So it's the same things, except villains to heroes.
Yeah,
so since we're on the digital version here, instead of having tokens, we can actually just change a number.
Yes.
Magically.
So now, as we mentioned, I think it's the night of surprises, because we talked about the first couple surprises. The surprise here is that we're showing off 2 different things, but there's another surprise happening right now. You guys might realize that you're having a hard time hearing the Enclave of the Endlings right now, and that's because I have it turned down just a little bit so that you can hear the other audio that's happening when you're playing against Kaargra Warfang. And that is because, as you may remember, we put a call out a couple months ago for people to send us their own audio so that they could be part of the crowd in the Bloodsworn Coliseum. And so that's what you're hearing. So if you pay attention, you might even hear yourself if you're one of those wonderful fans who submitted some audio. It's pretty cool the way that's all set up. You've got this sort of low din, which is where you're out in the crowd, just sort of sitting and watching, but you'll also hear some other specific stuff sort of happen as the game goes on. So if you hear yourself, definitely call that out. Sounds like Estelindis already heard their own voice, so that's good stuff right there.
Yeah, she could be a voice actor. Her submissions were fantastic.
All right, so we've covered a little bit mechanically. Obviously, we'll go into it more as we play. So let's take a look at what everybody's got. Haka starts off with Enduring Intercession, Haka of Restoration, Haka of Shielding, and Rampage. The Scholar starts with an Expect the Worst, No One to Hold Fast, and 2 Mortal Forms to Energy, one of my favorite cards. Super Scientific Tachyon, whew, what a start. Two fleet of foots,
nice.
a research grant, or fleets of foot, I don't know, and a Sucker Punch. And then Darkwatch Expatriette starts with Arsenal Access, 2 RPG launchers, and an Unload. All right, so let's go ahead and get started and see what Kaargra has for us. Aurum Hive-Minded comes out.
Hello, we are normal beings with skeletons, just like you.
And then a title comes out, and now Ashclaw Rivalos comes out. And Fickle Fan starts off right off the top. So okay, we're gonna hang out. Don't choose for me yet. I want to meanwhile and explain some of these cards. So let's look at Aurum Hive-Minded since we haven't played against this deck yet. He's a gladiator. At the end of the villain turn, this card deals the hero target with the highest HP 3 melee damage. Then add 1 token to the Bloodsworn favor pool for each environment card in play. Interesting. Then we've got Ashclaw Revelos, who, at the end of the villain turn, this card deals the hero target with the lowest HP 2 fire damage, and a target dealt damage this way cannot deal damage until the start of the next villain turn. That's a super bummer. But then Fickle Fans just came out, which is a one-shot, and this one moves 4 tokens from the favor pool with the most to the favor pool with the fewest. If both pools have the same number, then each target deals itself 1 psychic damage. This one can turn the tide of the game pretty quickly if it comes out at the wrong time. But because it came out now...
Such is the game!
Such is life in the Bloodsworn Coliseum. So it came out when nobody has any favor, so everyone just deals themselves damage, which is kind of cool because Ashclaw Revelos is going to hit himself, and then he won't be able to deal any damage.
No, that's not how we work.
Oh, no, it's not. It's only when he does it in his actual ability. That's a bummer.
He's just going to hit Tachyon, though. Probably.
And there are no environment cards, so no favor comes out due to Aurum.
I don't think Tachyon is probably going to deal damage this turn anyways.
She'll just give everyone lots of card draws.
Exactly. So there's a title available. Did you mention that?
Yes, so right. So the card came out and then a title came out. So it will pop up in the Bloodsworn Coliseum. You can always see what titles are in play here, and then you can show the title deck to see what other titles are going to come out eventually. The title that came out is Reckless. When a target deals itself 3 or more damage in 1 turn, put this card under the target, and they get the Reckless ability here. The first time this target is dealt damage each turn, this target regains 1 HP.
So is there anyone on the team that would like to be joining Reckless or grabbing Reckless by dealing themselves some damage?
Well, Tachyon cannot deal damage, so she will opt out of this one.
That's kind of a title that tends to go to the heroes who naturally do that.
Yeah, like
I don't
Where's
typically
Night Mist
go
when
after
we
it.
need her?
But I mean, one thing to keep in mind though is when you're playing against Kaargra Warfang, you tend to play it a little differently. You're going for favor. You're not going to beat the villain
Exactly.
the same way.
So similarly, the way that you play against the Dreamer, which is that if you wail on the villain, you will lose. There is no way to wail on the villain in this one. And even when she flips, getting her down to 0 will not allow you to win. It's all about the favor of the crowd. So it's good to sort of optimize your game for what's going to gain you favor, which is, dealing multiple high damages per turn, dealing 1 really, really high damage per turn to a villain or I guess a non-hero target. So yeah, it definitely can change the way that you play. And I especially I was commenting when we were testing earlier. I like the fact that the favor sort of puts a natural cap on the game. You're going to get to that point quickly one way or the other. It's not going to be like. Who's a villain that can really go for a long time? Like for instance, when we played against Grand Warlord Voss, and we played for 53 minutes before we dealt him a single point of damage, but we still won. That's a game that can go on forever just based on the luck of the draw. Whereas a game against Kaargra Warfang, someone's going to get to that 20 favor at some point.
Yeah, the favor doesn't go down.
Exactly.
It just goes up.
So in this particular scenario, Rampage is a really, really powerful card. Because not only will he get favor for dealing 2 or more damage to multiple targets, but also he gets a point every time he deals a non-hero target 4 or more damage. So it's really powerful, especially if there's lots of targets out, and I think I'll save it specifically so I can make the most use of it.
So if you really want
Fair
that
with
title, you could Rampage and then hit yourself.
That's true.
Yeah.
I don't know if it's worth it to do that right now.
Yeah, no, I won't use that now. What I think I'll do, because the other cards don't interest me a lot, I think I'll just use a Haka of Shielding basically to get a card.
Another Haka of Shielding.
Okay, well, all right.
Well,
sure,
hey.
whatever. And then I'll use his base power. Let's see. In this particular case, I think I'd go after the Hive-minded first because he adds tokens based on the environment cards, and that can get rough. So.
Yeah, I mean, neither one of these are gladiators I like to see out, but yeah, if you got, I mean, Orym is closer to death, so the quicker we can get one of them out, the better, I think. All right.
But what happens if we get both of them out? We don't necessarily want to get both of them out.
I'm saying get them out of play, like kill them.
Yeah. But if there's...
Well, no.
I was just
finish your thought.
Oh, I was going to talk about the fact that if there's no gladiators in play at the beginning of Kaargra's turn, she'll flip over, and then
That's right.
makes the game a lot harder.
Yeah, and actually, we haven't looked at her flip side yet, so let's pull her up and do that real quick. So when she enters play, she goes up to 40 hit points. And you'll notice in this bold text right here, the heroes cannot win the game. When Kaargra is
We're
on
going to
this
get a lot
side...
of bug reports about that anyways,
Yeah.
even though it's in bold.
Yeah. So when she's at 40 hit points, there is no way for you to win the game, which means you can get up to that 20 favor, but if she's still in play, you got to get her out. And that's what happens is you get her down to 0 and she flip back over. But basically, you have to be really careful, as Jennifer was saying, because this is one of those situations where she will come into play. She also has several other cards that will bring her into play depending on what's going on. So I think, actually, I'm just going to know when to hold fast here because I want some more options. I don't hate the options that I have, but I think it's a little early to worry about what's, managing damage stuff. So getting a free 5 cards right now at the expense of not gaining 1 hit point to go back up to full HP, I think is a decent choice.
I always forget and kill all the gladiators, and then I'm like, crap. Shouldn't have done that.
Oh, look at that.
Ooh, get out of the way. That's another excellent card. And I have 2 of my Mortal Coils out, or in my hand at least. So that's me getting Scholar set up. I like to get Scholar beaten way down, then have lots of targets in play, and just, do that thing where I can hit everything, then heal up and blast it back out again. Like, he can be a real powerhouse if you know how to use him.
Yeah, so I have to say that the people who made submissions for the crowd went above and beyond. Like, I mean, I was just expecting a few people there, like, mumbling and like yay or whatever, but it was like almost everyone who submitted like a ton of files of really creative stuff.
Yeah, I think that was what Jean-Marc was saying to
alien
me.
sounds.
He was expecting sort of shallow and broad, but what we instead got was sort of halfway broad and incredibly deep. Like, I think the smallest submission from any person was still at least 10 sounds, which is amazing.
Yeah, and they're really good too. Like, and I wasn't expecting the voices. Like, a lot of people had a lot of one-liners, and so I was like, well, we're going to add those. So obviously in a real crowd, you wouldn't hear an individual, but whatever.
Right. Yeah, the idea that here is that kind of like you are sitting in the Coliseum, so you're hearing the people around you a little bit more clearly. Oh, Kaargra! 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 Thank you to whoever sent that in, by the way. We had not even thought about that, but that was so great that now, like when Kaargra enters the battlefield, the crowd starts chanting for her. It's so awesome.
Yeah, that was
nice
that
job
was
with that fielding. You stopped her from getting 2 favor.
All right, yeah, so a lot of stuff happened there. So let's back up real quick and talk about this. So first off, the Enclave of the Endlings. Out came Jansa Videro, the Terminarch. Reduced damage dealt to environment targets by 1. At the end of the environment turn, each environment target gains 1 HP, but she is a 25 hit point target. That's something you'll find in the Enclave. There are a lot of hit points in this environment deck. A lot. Some of that's okay,
Yes.
but some of that is really tough to deal with. All right.
Yeah, so the Kaargra chant was from the Winfrey family. I think there was like 4 of them, and then so I
They're
basically
in attack there. Pricey provinces.
Oh yeah, that's awesome. Yeah, so I basically I took that and applied a bunch of effects on it to make it sound like it was thousands of people, and it worked really really well. So
Yeah, you guys might have heard that actually because we used it in the trailer. So but that's where it came from. It came from a fan. So thank you guys. All right, so let's look at what came out for. So tell us what happened, John, with Kaargra. You said we kept her from getting two titles. So what happened?
Yeah, so not titles, but favor. So
favor,
on her flip side, at the end of her turn, she deals a lot of damage to a couple targets. And she went after Haka, and so because of that Haka shielding, she did 0 damage. So she didn't get favor for that, which would have been 4 damage, would have been favor point. And then she dealt 3 damage to the second highest. So she would have gotten 3 favor, or 2 favor, because she would have gotten 1 for the 4 and then 1 for dealing 2 damage to multiple targets. So nice play.
Right on. All right, so another card came out, another Gladiator, Provocateur Tarnis. First time a villain target other than this card would be dealt damage each turn, redirect that damage to this card. At the end of the villain turn, this card deals the hero target with the highest HP 2 melee damage. And who did Ashclaw Revelos hit? Super Scientific Tachyon again.
Yeah.
Every time I read Revelos, I think Chev Chelios. I don't know if anybody here ever watched the movie. Oh my god, now I can't remember the name of the movie. It's that movie where he has to move. He has to it's speed, but for a person. He has to keep his adrenaline level up, or he's gonna die. I can't remember what it's called.
Sounds horrible.
It is really good. It's what's his name?
There's a new title out as well, The Unbreakable.
All right, let's bring that up. The Unbreakable. Tell us about it.
Yeah, so this one is kind of like an Aegis of Resurrection. If you get a target gets dealt 6 or more damage in a turn, it gets essentially an Aegis of Resurrection that works to 6 hit points. Though it only works for being reduced to 0 fewer. If you can outright be destroyed, like with a Sucker Punch, it doesn't help you.
Right. So thank you, chat. Yes, Chev Chelios. It's from Crank, and it was played by Jason Statham, and it was wonderful. All right, so Haka. What do we got?
Okay. So I think now would be a much better time to use Rampage. The first one will obviously go to Provocateur Tarnis. And I don't have damage buff, so I don't have to worry about somebody getting the Unbreakable from it. What do you guys think?
Though you'll probably use your base power to hit something. I guess, well, so the first target you choose that isn't Provocateur Tarnis is the one that won't get hit with the Rampage.
Yeah, so and this is we were talking earlier when we were playing our test games. Whenever Kaargra Warfang comes out, she is my first target. Unless, of course, Provocateur Tarnis is in play, in which case you kind of want her to be the second target, or the third if you hit Provocateur Tarnis first. So in this case, basically, if we hit either Aurum, Ashclaw, or Kaargra first, that's going to go to Tarnis. Then we can hit Tarnis. Then we can hit somebody else who we haven't already targeted.
Yeah. I would tend towards trying to destroy Aurum hive-minded with the Rampage so that you might get another title out of it. Out of the whole event.
Sure.
Yeah, so if it was me, I'd probably go after Ashclaw first, have that redirect to Tarnis, then hit Kaargra, then hit Aurum.
No, I would hit hive-minded so that a title will come out. A title comes out whenever a target's destroyed.
Right. Oh, right. That's what, I mean, either way, I was saying, you would kill him, but it would be... The point is that as long as you're not skipping Kaargra as the damage that gets redirected.
Sure.
So let's take a look at that new title.
Yeah, it's a good one.
It is a good one. You want to make sure. Oops. Oh right, there's a double hit him. Oh well.
Yeah, so I'll pop that open real quick. So that is the living weapon. When a hero destroys a target using their innate power, put this card under that hero character card, and they get the title. Increase the damage dealt by that hero's innate power by 2. So anyone who has an innate power that deals damage, that's who is going to get this, and that is who's going to benefit from it.
Yeah, I think Provocator Tarnus was going to get that title no matter what, jean-marc. So
Yeah, I just realized that. It's easy to miss something in this one, I find.
yeah. Also, I think Jeremy, you missed showing Get Back In there.
Yeah, so people were asking why she flipped over, so let's pull that up. Get back in there. One shot. Shuffle the villain trash and reveal cards from the top until 2 gladiator cards are revealed. Put them into play. Put the other revealed cards back into the villain trash. Then, if Kaargra Warfang is not a target, flip her character card. So yeah, so get back in there. As I was mentioning, that's one of her cards that will bring her out. Another one is...
That is the one that will bring her out.
Is that the only one
There's-
Bloodsworn
there are
Judgment
two
doesn't
copies.
do it? There's 2 copies of it. That's what it is. Got it.
Right, that order doesn't matter here. John, earlier today you were saying that you have to be careful when choosing Choose For Me when playing a Kaargra Warfang game because the order can matter in a lot of cases where it wouldn't normally. And so I'm always tentative to press Choose For Me unless everyone else.
Take a pause and think about it before pressing it because it can actually lose you the game.
Yeah.
In many situations.
It
Even
accidentally won us the game we were testing, but
That's
I
true.
do say accidentally
that's pretty
because
great.
it very easily could have gone the other way.
Yeah, so for my base power, would you prefer me going after Kaargra Warfang or Tarnus?
I'm all for getting Kaargra out as fast as possible.
Great.
Yeah, because we cannot win until she's out. So ground pound is nice.
Yeah, so yeah, and if we manage to get us in a situation where we can get rid of a character with our base power, we'll want to.
Everyone in the chat
manage.
wanted you to punch yourself.
All right, so I have the card that I want. Get out of the way. This is deal every non-hero target 1 fire damage, then heal, and then if I get out my Mortal Formed Energy, then I can blast that back out again. So I'm going to do that, and I will regain 1 HP. And I can either hit Janso for 0, or I can hit Provocator Tarnus by hitting anything else. So I think I'll just do that. I draw Proverbs and Axioms. So we have a comment. I really like Kaargra's artwork, by the way. As always, all the character artwork in the game is done by Adam, the original artist for the game. And I know that he has told us that one of the things he loves about working on the video game is the fact that he gets to revisit and redraw these characters. Because, as with any sort of artist, he started this game when he was sort of a young, new artist. And as a result, he's gotten much better as an artist over time. And he really enjoys the opportunity to go back and revisit some of these characters. Obviously, by the time he got to Wrath of the Cosmos, he was getting pretty good. As you can see in the way that the artwork for the environment was drawn, where he was really specifically going for that Jack Kirby style. But even then, he likes being able to have an opportunity to go back to these characters. I know they've been doing a lot of that also recently since the Oblivion Kickstarter, because they've been redrawing all of the heroes for the foil and for the collector's edition, whatever collection thingies. Oh yes, new title. Let's bring that up.
A new title came out, The Seeker.
The Seeker.
Destroyed Johnson.
When a target
Seekers,
damages
yes.
another target that has a damage-reducing effect, they get this title. And the Seeker is when this target deals damage to a target, increase the next damage dealt to that target by 2. Pretty cool title.
So there are no damage-reducing effects right now.
Yeah, that one's
think.
one of my favorites.
A lot of
It
the
is
games
very
that I
dangerous
played,
when a villain gets it.
yeah, I was gonna say a lot of the test games that I've played, it ends up on a villain, and then I end up getting screwed. All right, Expatriette, what you got?
I'm gonna play a gun, shoot a thing.
Play gun,
And it
shoot
has to go
thing.
to.
All right, 2-10. Heroes are putting up a pretty good fight here. All right, corruption. Let's pop open corruption here. At the end of the environment turn, this card deals each non-environment target 1 melee damage. Then this card deals any target damaged that way 1 toxic damage. So again, as John was talking about, this could be an interesting choose for me situation. Because depending on which of the
I would
villain
vote
targets,
to not choose for me.
exactly. So depending on which of the villain targets we pick, one of them is not going to take any damage, and one of them is going to take extra damage because it will get damaged by this card, so it'll get that extra toxic.
I think so. Provocator Tarnus is going to be destroyed by this, so we should hit ourselves first in case the indiscriminate gets played.
All right.
And then I think, let's let Revelos get the first, so that Kaargra will get. And actually, I guess the order doesn't really matter, but we'll have it. Yeah, and then again, let's hit ourselves first.
Can you explain why we're doing this, John?
So when a target gets destroyed, actually the target won't get destroyed. He'll because he has the unbreakable. So this is a precautionary measure that probably isn't necessary. But so if he destroyed the target, then a title could get played, which corruption could then potentially gain and hit us for more damage. So if we take our damage first, we wouldn't be susceptible to that.
So
But it was all for naught because I forgot about the unbreakable.
So there's a question in the chat. Say we use a card to redirect damage from Absolute Zero or Night Mist to destroy someone when that title is out. Will that power damage be increased by 2?
I don't know the context of the question.
All right. So the answer is we don't know.
Yeah, maybe if it
Like,
was explained.
Are they
by
talking about the
people.
Seeker? Are they talking about... I don't know what they're talking about.
So real quick, Bloodsworn Judgment just came out. That is a one-shot. Let me bring that up real quick so we can see what's happening here.
And Kaargra just gained a title.
So Bloodsworn
Stone
Judgment.
Jaw.
Each player destroys one of their ongoing or equipment cards. Flip the top card of the title deck and put it under the villain target with the highest HP, with no title effects still visible. If there are no villain targets in play, discard it. So she got a title as a result of that, and what she got was Stonejaw. Reduced damage dealt to this target by 1. That's a bummer.
Well, that lets us someone get the Seeker. And let's not let it be Corruption. That would be terrifying. Bakuki asks about, does the title that increases innate power damage work on a redirect? Of course.
There you go.
If
the
it
powers-
doesn't, send a bug report. Okay, so we're double their points right now, so that's good. Right, so
So a new title came out, Champion,
Let's bring that
which
up.
we talked about.
Yeah, we talked about it
right off
briefly,
the
but I'll
bat.
bring it up again. When the target destroys 3 targets in one turn, they get this, and damage dealt by this target is irreducible. Yes, discarded titles go back into the title deck.
So I think Haka is probably good. Haka is a good candidate to get the Seeker. Or Expatriette as well. I think it makes sense for Haka to do it because we want to keep hitting Kaargra Warfang. So
Well, I think the living weapon makes more sense because the other all your innate powers don't deal damage. And I could use Hack of Battle to do that
Sure.
again.
Yeah.
So
makes
that's what I was
sense.
thinking.
Yeah, I guess you won't be able to actually hit Kaargra on your turn because of Provocator Tarnus anyways.
Sure. Yeah, but I'll be able to get rid of him, and then... So, yeah, I gotta increase it by 4. So, 1, 2... Normally I keep Dominion, but in this case... 3...
Thanks, DW Setback. Tell Brett I said I missed the hat.
And then we go like this.
Haka Crush.
And now I get the living weapon, which increases damage from my innate power, which is currently all I'm using anyway, by 2. So that is good.
And out comes the Mind Breaker. So let me pop that open and take a look at the Mind Breaker. When a target is dealt damage by 4 different sources in one round, put this card under that target. The first time this target is dealt damage each turn, that target deals each target 1 psychic damage. So this is the sort of like Sonic Mind kind of titles. It obviously doesn't stop everybody from doing damage, but it's the same kind of deal. Like, hit it and it hits everything else. All right, so let's see. We got 1, 2, 3, 4 in play. But if I'm only dealing 1 damage, I can't hit Kaargra or Corruption, right? Oh, no, because what's it called is not out anymore. Jansa, the Terminarch. So I could hit potentially 3, or I could hit... Oh, no. Oh, that's right. Her thing got out that killed my ongoing.
Or you could play Proverbs and Axioms, and someone can get Reckless.
Yeah, let's do that. So we'll play Proverbs Axioms. Each player draws 1 card, and then everyone gets to either regain 2 HP or deal themselves 3 psychic damage to use a power. Haka gets a mare. Ooh, don't dismiss anything. One of my favorite Scholar cards. HUD Goggles and Flak Jacket. And choose for me.
Well, do we want to decide who is going to do this?
Sure.
I don't know if choose for me is what we want to do. Because people might want to use different powers or do different things, right? So the order may matter quite a bit.
All right.
Well, who's planning to use a power?
Yeah, who do you want to get Reckless? Is a question. It lets them heal, basically.
Yeah.
I think it would be good for the Scholar to get it.
Sure.
Because then if you get Mortal Form to energy out, anytime you get hit, you'll be dealing reactive damage and healing.
Yeah. So what you're saying is, I can go first, and I can deal myself 3 psychic damage. Then that'll give me Reckless.
Hallelujah!
And then I'll heal myself for 1. All right, who's next?
I'm just gonna heal because I can't deal damage. Or yeah.
I think the Seeker makes sense on...
Actually, if you can't deal damage, it's great. you can use a power for free.
I could have. I should go back and do that.
Yeah, let's go back and do that. All right, so we'll go back to me playing a card, and we'll just step through to what I was talking about. So we'll start with Proverbs and Axioms. Choose for me so everyone can draw a card. And we'll do Scholar first. And I will do damage. I got the Reckless, and then heal for 1. Then Tachyon will damage herself for nada.
Ooh. Anyone in particular want to be experimented on, or should I experiment on myself?
I think with this group, Tachyon's probably... Well, maybe Expatriette if you want to try and get 2 guns out, but I don't know what the percentages on that.
I can... I'll just
Tachyon's
experiment.
usually a pretty solid bet.
Yeah, like I almost always use it on herself, but at least it gets burst cards.
Yeah, that's the thing. Like, there's almost no bad outcome with Tachyon. It's almost never a wasted turn.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I can grab the Seeker right now.
Do it.
Yeah, Napakra says, sorry, I don't have my stat sheet open, so no statistics. Thanks anyway, though.
And then I can give that nice plus damage to lots of things.
I guess I'll do it too. So 4 damage to what?
Kaargra
Kaargra?
Warfang?
Yeah, I would hit
Yeah.
Kaargra, even though it's going to
Yeah.
be... Is it reduced by 1? Yeah. But I mean,
I'll
we're
use
at
our
15 to 5.
so-
We only need to get 5 more
I'll use an
favor.
RPG launcher on Corrupton.
You want to? Okay, so I should not destroy Corrupton then.
Please don't destroy Corrupton.
I'll save my lightning reflexes.
So Hingdora says, wait, you can experiment on the title deck?
You can.
You sure can.
Yeah.
Well, should I experiment?
And as
on
long
the
as there's
title
2
deck?
cards in there, they're both coming out.
Yep.
Well, should I go for it?
It would,
Yeah,
yes, that
let's-
would always
let's-
be a successful...
It will always succeed.
Yeah, so let's... All right, so we did that. So let's
Good.
take a look. Death Caller.
Expatriate's going to get that Death Collar.
After a target destroys a target without dealing damage to it, put this card under the surviving target, and Death Caller is whenever this target reduces another target to 3 or fewer, destroy. That's a great card. I like that card a lot. And then the Unbreakable, which we've already seen because it's been out and then gone back in. This is the Aegis of Resurrection card that whenever it's dealt 6 or more, you get this, and then you get to come back to 6 when you were reduced to 0.
Yep. So I think, look at the Mindbreaker here. 2 sources for Kaargra. Okay, not bad. All right, so yes, I'm going to use the RPG launcher and destroy Corrupton, thus gaining a title. Let's have another title. The Indiscriminate.
It'd be perfect for Rampage.
Let's pop that open as long as we're doing this. So the Indiscriminate.
Yeah.
When a target deals damage to multiple hero targets and multiple villain targets in the same turn, they get this title, and increase damage dealt by this target by 1. Yeah, so
I
somebody
guess you
who
got the
does-
Unbreakable. That's annoying. Oh well.
Well, so someone who does broad damage having the Seeker is awesome because it means that now whenever the rest of us deal damage, not only are we going to deal more, but it's likely to push us into the area where if we're doing more than 1 damage turn, we can start gaining favor from it as well. All right, so let's pop open Grum and see what he has to say. Grum is the last Tromtar. At the end of the environment turn, this card deals the non-environment
What's the
target with the
LA?
second highest HP 4 melee damage. All right, so people are complaining about something. What happened?
Look at Group's flavor text.
Oh.
All right, Groom, we get it. Grum.
The constant yelling.
So it's 19 and 7.
Yeah, but she's
Still got 19 hit points though, so we got to get her way down before.
and she's gonna resurrect. So
Evil Dice Monkey says the only thing that wasn't surprising this stream is Jeremy having technical difficulties again.
All right, watch it, buddy. I do have a ban button here.
Constructive.
yeah, they're
plays.
at 11 and climbing. I like Grand Plan.
Yeah. Yeah, and that would kind of slow them down for sure. So that seems like a reasonable thing. And I probably won't be using Mirror at all since my base power does more damage. So
Yeah.
I'll just get rid of
You have a tactical shotgun fist now.
Yeah.
And Expatriette cannot deal damage this turn.
Yeah, so I was gonna say, if you hit Kaargra for what amounts to 5 here, not only do we get our favor, so now we're at 20.
What?
Now
I
it's just a
can't.
matter
I
of getting
can't
her
deal
down.
damage. That sucks.
That's how I haven't been able to deal damage yet. this
So,
game.
before you play anything, did we look at that new title card yet?
Let's take a look. So that is Chaos
Something that-
Lord. When a player plays 3 cards in one turn, they get this title. The first time this target is dealt damage each turn, play the bottom card of their deck. I didn't know what this was, and I had it on Chrono Ranger. And I had all sorts of random cards coming out. This was early in testing. And I was like, what is happening? Why do I keep playing all these extra cards? Because I didn't realize that's what this card was doing. But it was a very, very cool effect.
Yeah. And as the picture in the card suggests, Tachyon is pretty much always the most likely candidate to get it.
Yeah, I will definitely get it on my turn.
Although if you had 2 keep movings, you could give it to the Scholar. I think Tachyon is a good choice.
Yeah, so I'm thinking I'm going to keep moving. And then, assuming I still actually have one of my... Is there still one of those in my deck?
Your Grace Under Fire.
There's not. Yeah, I think I'm just going to Grace Under Fire, because I don't have my Mortal Form.
Or you can do 10 damage to Kaargra with Know When to Turn Loose.
Yeah, something just happened to the stream.
People say they lost the stream offline.
That's not good.
No.
I just refreshed and that fixed it, so maybe we should take a break and just tell people to refresh their...
Yeah,
Yeah, they're
refresh the stream,
refreshing.
everybody. I'm gonna
They
refresh.
can't
If
hear
you play Know When to Turn Loose, that will do 9 damage to Kaargra Warfang. That's not bad.
Oh, yeah, it's saying that it's offline. Oh, wait,
Oh.
no, now I'm getting an ad. Okay, yep, I think it's coming back. All right, good. Okay, so, all right, so it seems like the team is feeling like knowing when to turn loose is the right choice here.
Well, that's just one suggestion.
It is one
I'm not the
suggestion.
team.
Yep.
Grace Under Fire is not a terrible idea.
Yeah, Grace Under Fire is going to do 6. Yeah,
-1.
-1. So wait, Mortal Form to Energy, and the other 2 are in my hand, right? Okay. I feel like we don't want to dismiss anything, so let's look at don't dismiss anything. Each player may either move 1 card from their trash to the top of their, or put it the top card of their deck into play. So that card plays very well into my play style, which is just see what you get. Throw it out on the table and hope it all works out for you. Because that could give us some pretty interesting stuff, but it could also be nothing. So I think I'm actually going to go with my sort of the Jeremy Handel special here, which is I like John's idea of knowing when to turn loose and having this be a scenario where I know when to turn loose. Because that is probably going to be... What's that?
I was going to say, do you want to play Keep Moving first?
I guess I could. Yeah, at the very least, I can keep moving and maybe reduce the next damage dealt to me since I'm already down to 12. And then now I can know when to turn loose. And that was basically a net loss of either 1 or 0. Yeah, 1. So it's still going to be 8 damage to her. So that'll give us another...
Oh, you played Keep
favor.
Moving first. Yeah, that's 1 less damage.
It's 1 less. So I've got my Flesh to Iron in there, so if the worst comes to worse, I'll...
But then you have to discard your card on your turn.
Well, if I want to keep it, doesn't necessarily mean I'm going to. I got a Grace Under Fire, so maybe I'll just skip it, and then if we still have a lot of targets out, we could be good to go.
Were you gonna RPG launcher Grum on your turn, or should I get rid of it and then I'll get the title?
I don't think I will because I can't deal damage.
All right, I will play all of my cards.
Play all the things.
Look at all that favor.
My goal is to get the favor number to the highest possible before winning.
We're gonna get we're gonna get a screenshot from someone who has favor that breaks it by getting into 3 digits.
Yep.
I wonder how long it's gonna take for someone.
And then they overlap or something.
Yeah, totally.
Well, it won't damage everybody.
Yeah, I don't think the order will matter.
Yeah, so the chat is talking about how they keep trying to like look at the cards by clicking on the stream, which is actually something that I do when I'm cutting them together, like the day or the week after. I'll double click on the YouTube video to try and bring up the card. I'm like, oh wait, this isn't a live game.
And I have all the Lightspeed barrages.
All right, what can I do without dealing damage?
As a gun character.
Guess set up for next turn.
Yeah.
Frazat. All right, let's bring up Frazat, the last Pernian. So, and again, yeah, so the last thing kind of speaks to what I was talking about earlier when we were listening to the music, which is that an Endling, to be an Endling, you are the last of your race or your species, whatever, and you come to this refuge, the Enclave of the Endlings. Frazat is the last Pernian, and at the end of the environment turn, this card deals the non-environment target with the second lowest HP 3 energy damage, and when the card is destroyed, play the top card of the environment deck. So this is one of those, like, Devil's Bargain cards. Either let him deal the damage or get rid of him and see what you get. Title deck is tapped out. Everything is either in play or in the Coliseum. Kaargra Warfang can't deal damage. Ah, the Tryragan Rex.
Right, so can we knock out Kaargra Warfang and win the game?
I think so.
Let me pop over
Well,
that Tryragan real quick. So that, actually, I have a couple of these gladiators I
Tachyon.
haven't read, so let me read them real quick. Tryragan Rex, Gladiator. At the end of the villain turn, this card deals the 2 hero targets with the highest HP, 1 fire, 1 cold, and 1 toxic damage each. So if there's damage boosters in play, this guy can be really super dangerous. We've got Durmkarn the Fearless. At the end of the villain turn, this card deals the 2 hero targets with the highest HP, 3 lightning damage each. Whenever this card is dealt damage, this card becomes immune to damage for the rest of the current turn. That one can be a little tricky. Impassable Andalin. Reduce damage dealt to this card by 1. At the end of the villain turn, this card deals the hero card with the most cards in play 2 melee damage. And Edessa the Adroit. At the end of the villain turn, this card deals each hero target 1 energy damage. If multiple hero targets are damaged this way, add 3 tokens to the Bloodsworn favor pool. I think that's all the ones that we haven't gone over yet. Did we talk about Sidari
And
the Bloody?
they all did nothing because of Grunt Pound.
Let me read Sidari the Bloody because I don't think... Sistari the Bloody. Whenever a non-villain target enters play, this card deals that target 2 sonic damage. At the end of the villain turn, this card deals the hero target with the second highest HP 2 sonic damage.
She has a sonic gun. Are you there, Jean-Marc?
I am, yeah.
It's your turn.
The explanation to be done. Yeah, I don't think there's... I think I'll just Vitality Surge here. And then use my base power, because we've got to bring down Kaargra.
I think the Scholar will, or can, get her to flip. And then Tachyon can likely finish her off.
At 24.
All right, guys. Only 6 more points.
Alright, well I can play both of my Lightspeed barrages, so should I punch something else first just for fun?
For favor,
Yes.
you can knock out one of the targets.
I punch him because he's
Or
very
get rid
annoying.
of Ashclaw, he's annoying. He's been bugging us the
He's
whole
been the most
Yeah,
annoying,
he's
but-
been in play the whole time.
And then he's like, oh man. Oh, I shouldn't have picked on her.
Alright. And the final blow to Kaargra.
You help us take her down, and we won't leave you behind.
Alright, special ending.
heroes. The heroes. Sentinels stand victorious at the blood-sworn Colosseum.
Pretty convincing victory.
Yeah, I think we did a pretty solid job there.
Yeah, that was a good game.
Yeah, I think it's certainly possible that some people weren't around for the listening party, so you probably didn't know that there is a new version of the victory theme that you get if you win at the Bloodsworn Coliseum. Because obviously Kaargra Warfang has her own in-house band that plays her music, and of course the heroes brought their sheet music with them, and they said, hey look, if we happen to win, just play this song.
The Argent Adept is ready. He's always there. Or at least they have his mixtape.
Indeed.
His demo tape.
Sounds like a canonical explanation.
All right, so it is 8:06. Traditionally, when we get finished that quick, we play a second game. How you feeling, John? I know it's pretty late for you.
I could manage something, I think. I was thinking we should play Advanced Infinitor.
Oh,